Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again for another Creative Aging program tonight. Tonight, we're going to be doing Quarantine Gingerbread People with another kit from Collective Pueblo. I do have probably 10 of these kits left, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and drop my email in the comments. Please send me an email if you're interested in receiving one of those kits. First 10 people get them. Please don't give me a call because, again, I don't have a phone here in my space. And my ability to return phone calls is also pretty spotty. So do just send me an email if that's something that's possible for you. And I'll see if I can get a kit out to you. I think that's about all the announcements that I have for tonight. So let me just go ahead and get started on our video. Hold on one second while I get that queued up. Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Creative Aging. It's starting to be the holiday season, so we are going to be making some gingerbread ornaments. They're special gingerbread ornaments this year. They're quarantine gingerbread. You can use them as an ornament on your tree, or if you're not a celebratory type of person, you don't happen to have a Christmas tree, I think they'd be pretty cute just kind of hanging anywhere as a house decoration or as an office decoration. Just as a way to commemorate the fact that 2020 hasn't been great, we're going to go ahead and make the best of it. Lemons out of lemon. I got that backwards. Lemonade out of lemons, right? Duh. Happiness out of quarantine, and we're going to go ahead and make ourselves some quarantine gingerbread guys. So to start with, I think we'll go ahead and add the gingerbread gentleman or lady or person. We'll add their frosting decorations. And the reason that we're going to do these guys first is because it is the one part of this particular craft that is glued. So what we're going to do is you're going to pull your rickrack out. That's what this is called. This is zigzaggy piece of ribbon. If you weren't aware, it's called rickrack. And we're going to cut pieces to fit across our gingerbread guys' feet and hands so that it looks like maybe he was decorated out of frosting. I'm going to take them off because I'll lose them otherwise. They're pretty tiny. Even though I make a lot of crafts, fine motor stuff is just not always my forte. So I have to try to keep track of what I've put where. Because otherwise I will lose all these tiny little pieces. And then there's a chance that I might say bad words on camera, which I feel pretty proud of myself. I haven't said any so far this whole entire year. It's been about 6 months since I've been coming with you guys virtually on our quarantine adventures. So thanks so much for signing up for these kits that we get from Collective and from the Stampers every month and coming back and seeing me every week to do these projects. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little glue. It really doesn't need much. Tacky glue, which is this lovely stuff I'm using here, really dries quickly. And I use it to bond fabric to fabric. It's probably the best glue out there other than hot glue for that, but hot glue is going to make a mess. Now, this is going to dry clear. You're not going to see it. I'm going to get glue all over my fingers before I use needles, which is going to be great. But it'll dry as we work our way through the project. Believe it or not, I really hate having gluey hands. So I keep trying to get it off of me as we continue our project. All right. Alrighty, so that rickrack is on there and it will dry as we go along. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is add our buttons. So you've got in your kit 6 different buttons. There'll be 3 for each gingerbread man. You have enough supplies to do 2. You can pick out whichever buttons you want and put them on whatever gingerbread guy you'd like. these are the buttons that I have today. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to put a big one and then a little one and then a big one. So the first big one's just going to kind of, actually, I think I want to put the darker pink one down there. That way? Nah, that way. Right there. So I've already got a pre-threaded needle because everyone knows that I have some problems with needles and getting them threaded on camera, which let's not have those amazing adventures today. And because we're not going to be fiddling around with this guy too much, I don't think we need to go back through the buttons except for the once. So there's one button on, and I'm not even going to cut my floss. I'm just going to move on directly to putting the next button on because no one is going to see the inside of this guy. Nobody in the world. You're not going to see this gingerbread person's guts. Thank goodness, because keeping my ends tidy is not something that I do well with. A lot of people know that I'm a knitter. I'm even currently wearing a sweater that I made, and I love it. It's so warm. But keeping the ends of my knitting neat is probably the biggest thing I struggle with too, and then having to go back after I'm done and weave in them all is my least favorite thing to do, probably in knitting. Okay, here we go. Here's our last button. And then we're going to move directly on, don't pass go, don't cut your yarn, to making the straps for the mask. All right, so here's our buttons. Shazam. And we're going to make a giant, I can't stress that enough, cross stitch situation here. So just an X. I'm going to start way over here, probably like right there, because we do want a room to sew our gut together, but this big giant stitch. See how big that guy is? That's a big old stitch. And we're going to do the same size back the other way. Okay. So that is actually the basis for our mask. In your kit, you'll notice that you have a very small piece of white felt. And out of that white felt, you're going to cut some small squares. This is as small as my square is. It's not real big because our gingerbread's face is real big. But that's going to be, we're going to sew that guy right on there, just like that. And that's going to be his mask. Now you can sew it on any way you want to, but I think it looks authentic to do just one stitch across the top and one stitch across the bottom, like the seams of the masks that, the paper masks that everybody wears. So that's how I'm going to go ahead and put the mask on. So I'm going to go one stitch here across the top. And you'll notice I'm running out of thread because I made another one of these guys to show you a finished one, or mostly finished one. And one across the bottom. And as you notice, now it has those two seams, and I think that actually looks really authentic and like the way masks look when you're wearing them. So then we'll just go ahead, we're not going to use the white anymore, so just tie that guy off there in the back of the work. And then I'm going to get really proud of myself here, and hopefully it's not going to screw up. I have learned for this particular project how to make French knots. You will be so proud of me. I tried to learn how to do them before and I couldn't figure it out, and I watched a ton of YouTube videos, and I think I finally got it. So we're going to do 2 French knots, one for each eye. So let's see if I can do this kind of close up so you all can see. So I'm going to pick where I want the eye to go. I think there's probably good. I'm going to pull the yarn through, and then I'm going to put my needle down and wrap the yarn around my needle a couple of times. Hold on to this fella, the bottom part of the yarn, and put the needle back almost in exactly the same spot. Keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. And voila, a French knot. Now, there are going to be some of you out there who are laughing because they think, Sharon, how the heck did you not know how to do that before? No judgment zone here. We don't care if the person doesn't know how to do the craft when we get started. I did not know how to make a French knot, and I learned. That's an important thing to remember. You might not know exactly how to do the thing, but there's a lot of resources out there to teach you. And then when you do learn, you get the opportunity to be incredibly proud of yourself. And I am inordinately proud of my ability to now make a French knot. I told my mom that I had learned how to make French knots for this, and my mom sews very, very well. And she laughed and she laughed and she laughed. It's a no judgment zone, Mom. All right, there's our gingerbread man with his 2 eyes. So we'll just tie this guy off. Unless, of course, you would like to, and you're a good embroiderer, unlike me, who's an absolutely abysmal one, you can write 2020 on the back of your other piece of your gingerbread man. You could write, I don't know, no more toilet paper, whatever you want to do, a holiday message, or, good riddance 2020 sounds pretty good to me. Across the back of him. I'm not going to do that because I am not good at embroidery. But that is up to you. Make your choice if you'd like. My mom is making a bunch of these guys. I showed her the pattern. She thought it was pretty cool. And so she was taking ground cinnamon and grinding it, like kind of rubbing it into the back of the gingerbread man so that they would smell really good. So the world's your oyster there. Whatever you'd like to do. We'll just tie this fellow off. And I'll show you that in the amount of time that we've been working on this together, my scissors, that rickrack is starting to dry. All right, so on to the part where we sew our gentleman together, or our lady, or our person. It is whatever you want. So I have one here that I've mostly sewn together with whip stitch. And so I'll show you that when I got started, you can move this up to the camera a little bit. You can see there the knot is actually in between the 2 gingerbread fellows' heads. I whip stitched all the way around to here where we'll finish it up. You can do blanket stitch if you feel like whip stitch isn't going to hold it together properly, but we're not going to stuff this guy super fat. He doesn't need to be a chubby dude. Gingerbread isn't chubby. So I have some fluffy stuff, and I have the end of a pencil. This is what I'm going to use to push it in. Nice eraser. Don't use the pointy end. You can poke through and get graphite all over your dude. Make sure you use the eraser end. You don't need to stuff him, like I said, very fat. And if you're doing this, it's actually, honestly, it's easier if you stuff him as you go. It's just really hard to film the stuffing as you go situation. So I'm going to just stick it right in his head, which I always find to be relatively morbid looking, and push it down into his legs. So there we go. Now he's got some chubby legs and a very chubby tummy, so I want to put some more of that leg stuff back in his leg. There we go. And then a little bit more fluffy stuff into his noggin. And you can use the pencil to push it into his arms. Okay, just like that. If you wanted to add a little bit more fluffy stuff so that he has a fluffy head, that would be good. Right in there, but you don't need to do too much with that. You can adjust his noggin as after we sew him together. All right, so so we'll whip stitch him, I think probably right about to in between his eyeballs. Like I said, you can also blanket stitch it, whatever floats your boat, but I'm a much better whip stitcher than blanket stitcher. I just learned what blanket stitching was, by the way. I'm not an embroiderer. But guys, I am learning right along with you as we do these projects, and before long you're going to see me just busting out embroidery projects all over the place because I've done it for so each one of these kits from Collective. Melissa loves to do stitching projects, and she's amazingly good at them and incredibly creative. And she's the one who came up with this particular project here. And I really do love it. I think it's very cute. I'm not going to lie. I got a kit for myself and made them for my Christmas tree. And I showed my mom, like I said, and she's made a bunch. She made the pattern herself. She didn't even get a kit. She just went and got felt. And it's amazing. She's always been amazing. People laugh. They're like, how did you learn to be a maker, Sharon? And I say 100% from my mom. All right, so the last thing we're going to have to add to this fellow is his string to hang him. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the knot part. So what I did was I cut the string part that was in the kit in half, and then I just tied the ends together. Overhand knot, no big deal. I'm going to stick him in there with the knot part inside of his head. So it comes out like that. And then I'm going to go through his head here. And then I'm going to take the string in between. Hopefully not poke myself. So if you watch here, do you see how that's going? Move it up to the camera here. In between. Ta-da! And it just ties it right on in there. That's all you have to do. Shazam. We'll just finish him all the way around. Whip, stitching away. Come on, guys. See how much I've improved since those silly llamas this summer that I just had such a hard time with. Partially, I think, because I tried to do the entire program live, which, as I've learned as I've done this, that isn't necessarily a great idea. This is a first take. I have not had to go back and undo this, but if for some reason I had like poked myself and gotten blood all over, or whatever, I could have stopped it because I'm filming this before the program airs. And that's probably my biggest takeaway from doing this live, is that helps. So whip stitch in this fluffy stuff. And there we go. So what we're going to do is we'll just tie him off now, and he's done. All right. Give him a little snip, and we've made ourselves a quarantine gingerbread guy. All righty. That's our project for today. Next week we'll be doing quarantine. No, we're not doing anything quarantine. We're doing ugly sweater magnets. That ought to be pretty darn cute. The link is available, pueblolibrary.org, under calendar of events. Please register. It's going to be super cute. And until I get to see you guys again, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep making. Have a great day. Bye. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed making those quarantine gingerbread. I borrowed a kit this time around, and I also made some. They're hanging on my Christmas tree. My son, who's 3, thinks they're pretty cool. Like I said, my mom's made a few. Everybody loves these gingerbread. They are so stinking cute. A big shout out to Melissa at Collective for coming up with the idea for these kits, because I just absolutely love them. I think that's about it for tonight. Next week, we're going to have an ugly sweater kit from Melissa at Collective, and they're really cute. They can be pins or magnets or kind of anything you want them to be. So tune in, same time, same place next week to make ugly sweaters. If you need to register for that link, again, you go to our website, pueblolibrary.org, and click on the calendar of events. Click on next Wednesday. Today is the 2nd, so that'll be the 9th of December. And go ahead and just register. There's still some spaces left, and we'd love to have you attend. All right, guys, that's all for my evening. I hope you guys stay safe and warm. It's cold out there. And until I get to see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep making, everybody, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.